any suggestion, any thinking that they could amend the law in any simple way to, especially the thought of increasing the presidential term limit, it will not go at all. It will not go well at all for them. So if anybody is advising them right, please stop. Don't even dare go that direction. Hii upuzi ingine ya kusema mbadilishe katiba is not going to make sense to Kenyans.
Fanyamambo Kinuthia as well, a very significant action has been seen in the country. We have seen a discourse has been started about Kenya having a referendum, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 being amended anytime soon. This is a statement that was read yesterday by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi at the middle of it's called the Valokoli Festival, which is the Maragoli annual festival. It was quite unusual to see such a statement. I don't know, how did you find it?
To start with, thanks, and I would like to say, Musalia Mudavadi, you are out of order. How can we have a person who occupies an unconstitutional office telling us about constitutionalism? For the last close to 3 years now, Musalia Mudavadi has been occupying an office that does not exist in our constitution. He has been earning from occupying an office that does not exist in our constitution. In fact, he should be ashamed and first return whatever amount of money he has received as a Prime Cabinet Secretary, because he's the holder of an unconstitutional office. So actually, in layman's language, the holder of an unconstitutional office is actually a ghost worker. So you have a ghost worker telling you how to amend the constitution so that Parliament is duly constituted. He keeps saying a boundary review, and he keeps saying that Parliament, as is constituted, if we constitute it in 2027, is going to be unconstitutional. Wewe Musalia Mudavadi, ulikuwa wapi mukituletea wa Modhende? Didn't you know that Parliament is unconstitutionally constituted for you to bring us wa Modhende and force him there to become a member of Parliament for the people of Mbere? Yet they didn't want him, and Ndakwa and so many others. That's the time you should have come and said, wait a minute, our Parliament is unduly constituted, it is not constitutional, let us not do it. So from where I sit, I see hypocrisy. I see a person who first owes Kenyans money. Musalia Mudavadi is supposed to return all the monies he has received. He's not supposed to be having that motorcade. He's not supposed to be getting the honor he's getting, because he holds an office that doesn't exist in our constitution. The list of persons who should be telling us about constitutionalism is him. Number two, he says this during a festive season. Very many Kenyans are not being able to enjoy Christmas. Not just Christmas. They are not sure about putting a meal on the table. Very many Kenyans are sitting here and wondering, watoto Januari watapelekwa shule aji. There is this KJ Seya. Taking children to grade 9 right now is a huge disaster for many parents financially. Taking children to Form 1 right now is unbelievable. It is expensive. Taking children from where we are to even primary school. They've just announced they've scrapped free primary education. They've scrapped capitation to high schools. So education is going to be so expensive for our people, and Musalia Mudavadi is telling us about changing the constitution because he's only talking about the top offices. In fact, I wish he was talking about reducing them in number. I wish he was talking about resigning because he's holding an unconstitutional office. So shame on what he's telling us, shame on him. This is wrong. It's not what Kenya needs right now. I think what Kenya needs right now is a conversation about how do people put a meal on the table. What Kenya needs right now is a conversation about how will we take our children back to school. What we need is a conversation about returning back free primary education, returning back capitation to schools, returning back Linda Mama. Those are the conversations that Kenyans want to hear about. Hii upuzi ingine ya kusema mbadilishe katiba is not going to make sense to Kenyans.
Is it true a constitutional crisis is looming?
Well, the truth is, a constitutional crisis was manufactured by themselves. When these people joined office in 2022, they had the unique opportunity to appoint IEBC commissioners in good time, so that IEBC was duly constituted to do this. But by the way, they are the same people who kept saying IEBC was not duly constituted to do boundaries review, but it was duly constituted for them to help in the elimination of Gachagua.
So, Fanyamambo Kinuthia, you're an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Is a constitutional crisis looming in Kenya?
Thank you. First, I'd like to tell people that we may have those constitutional challenges that are there right now, but they are a creation of the same administration that we have. When William Ruto took over power, one of the responsibilities they had as government was to reconstitute IEBC because what had happened with the Cherera 4 and the problems after the 2022 general elections. They took their time. They deliberately did not constitute IEBC. They deliberately delayed the constitution of IEBC. It became a good IEBC when it was convenient for them. For example, when they wanted to impeach Rigathi Gachagua, they said IEBC was enough. Whenever they wanted to hold by-elections, they said IEBC was constituted duly. But whenever they felt there is boundary reviews to be done, they said IEBC was not constituted duly. We needed some little budget for boundaries review. It was not a lot of money. I think about 5 or 6 billion, if that's what IEBC had said. But there was 45 billion to build a stadium. There was money to build avoidable housing that Kenyans do not need. There has been money for all the wrong projects, but there has not been money to constitute IEBC the way it should have been constituted, and there was no money to do boundaries review. So from where I sat and from where I sit, if there is any constitutional crisis, it was created by themselves. And so they should not come and tell us we have a constitutional crisis. They manufactured it. They should have constituted IEBC at the right time, and these things would have happened.
I have seen Kenyans in the political, in the social media scene, trying to question a few things about the start of this discourse. First of all, the timing. It was announced on Boxing Day by Musalia Mudavadi. There's also been the discourse about probably being a scenario where we could see President Ruto have to serve the first term of more than 5 years that is in the constitution. Do we see such a scenario?
There is no way he's going to serve more than 5 years. These people are just looking for a reason to ban the country. This country has allowed them the latitude to continue doing terrible things to us for the next 2 years. And we have accepted that until 2027, August, we are allowing them to continue mistreating us. In fact, as we speak, people are not eating at Kenyatta National Hospital. We know, and there are so many other problems that we are going through as a nation. We have allowed them to continue doing these terrible things. And the only thing that we want is for them to give us an opportunity to remove them through the ballot. So if they think they are popular with their Singapore rubbish narrative and all these other things they are telling us, which we believe are terrible, let us face each other at the ballot. This nonsense of trying to extend your constitutional term through other means is not acceptable. And by the way, what you see Musalia Mudavadi saying is nothing. He's just trying to say that they are looking for a way to extend President Ruto's term in office. That's the only thing they are doing. They are just looking for a way to extend this pain of having no medicine in his hospitals, this pain of Linda Mama being taken away, this pain of selling Safaricom, selling KPLC, selling Kenya Pipeline Company, and so on and so forth. That is what they want to extend, and Kenyans are telling them no. And it's a big no from where we stand, it's a big no from where we sit. So let them just allow us to vote in 2027, and they go home with their rubbish. Yes,
I've seen previous leaders who are in the opposition before they joined government through the broad-based government have been saying that actually probably this could be the right time. They tried to amend the constitution through BBI, they tried to amend the constitution through other means. Final question I would ask you, Fanyamamba, does Kenya need a constitutional change in as much as probably there are some issues that would have been done in the wrong way? Does Kenya need a constitutional change right now? Does Kenya need those referendum questions that want to be put in the next general election?
Kenya does not need a constitutional change right now. I have always told people we are drowning in law. If anything, our constitution compared to the American constitution is so big. What we have is leaders who have bad manners. Mwai Kibaki led us with the old constitution as though he was using the 2010 constitution. So let it be clear to every other Kenyan that when you have a leader who means well for this country, it doesn't matter what law you have or what constitution you have, they will do the right thing. Here we keep changing the law and improving the law and bringing in new laws, but what we are trying to take care of is bad manners from terrible leaders. What we do not want to have a conversation about right now is a constitutional review when our people are hungry, because the budgets will be enormous. There will be such a huge spending on constitutional review and framing a referendum and referendum questions, whereas that can be avoided right now and we deal with the immediate needs of Kenyans. The only constitutional referendum question we should be asking is whether William Ruto should stay until August 2027 or not. That is a constitutional referendum we can have tomorrow morning, and most Kenyans will say no, and then we can do an election now. If that is the question, then yes. But any other question for now, it is not a priority in the lives of Kenyans. Yes, we have problems, but changing the constitution right now is not the priority.
How do you think this will end?
Terribly for government, because any suggestion, any thinking that they could amend the law in any simple way, to especially the thought of increasing the presidential term limit, it will not go at all. It will not go well at all for them. So if anybody is advising them right, please stop. Don't even dare go that direction. Start addressing the problems that Kenyans have. Januari watoto wanaenda shule na pesa gani? Christmas watu hawajakuwa na pesa. As we speak, there is no capitation for primary schools, for high schools, there is nothing. And then you're telling us about 2027 and powers. And when you think about the questions they were discussing about, he only spoke about parliament, prime cabinet secretary. He spoke about power. He did not speak about Mwananchi. Nothing. I wish he was amending the constitution to bring out something about, making the government responsible for every Kenyan having a meal or something of that kind. They are not. Making the government responsible for the medical care of every Kenyan. It's not one of the issues. The issues to them is power. Hapo juu. Full stop.
Thank you very much. Let's see how this goes.
Asanteni sana.